I'm Zach, welcome to the Shaken Fist, and today we get to fucking make fun of Matt Powell, motherfuckers! Jesus fucking Christ, man. This man... It's just, he doesn't care, it's all liberal tears. Today we get to watch Matt Powell try and lecture us about science. Again, isn't that fun? Isn't this all what we've always wanted? It's the best. It's the best of the best. It's the best thing since the best thing was the best thing. I don't want to do Matt Powell anymore. But it's better than making fun of Hawaiian shirt guy, so that's cool. So, onward!
Either God created the world or the world created itself.
Yeah. It's the only two options. It's the only two logical options coming from this fresh-faced cunt right here. Only two options. It's only two options. Either it made itself or God made it. Personally, I would think that it would be the gravitational forces put from Sol, our star, put upon the accretion disk. As it spins around and things start to form, they collide into each other. The Earth didn't form itself. If anything made us, the star that we go around did, and its gravitational forces.
Happened like that. Overnight, I became a sun worshiper. Well, not overnight. You can't see the sun at night. The first thing the next morning.
Like stuff like that. But hey, if you put a cross in one of two ways, right, then it only can be one of the two answers, and how dare you for thinking that there could possibly be a third? How dare you? What we must remember is if a grifter is giving you two choices, then the third choice is almost always the answer. Because if it's one of the two choices, then one of those two choices is a trick question, and he's trying to own you in some way. The real answer is never so fucking simple. We must always remember simple, easy, intuitive answers for hard, non-intuitive questions. That's all they give a shit about, because you're supposed to intuitively go, oh yeah, I guess it is like that, isn't it, Mr. Hoven? Sorry, Powell.
Think about it. If everything was not created by an intelligent designer, that means that everything poofed into existence literally from nothing.
I am Science Man. Seems to be nothing around here.
Nothing much going on here.
It seems to be just me. Let me just reach into my hat of tricks.
Poof.
Existence. I wish we could do that. Like your God purports to. Because really what seems to have happened is that maybe there's like another universe, and then after the gravitational pulls stopped at exerting its pressure and slowed down dark flow and dark energy. Eventually, the coming together of galaxies making supermassive black holes collapse could have, formed big gravity wells that, after overcoming the force of dark flow and dark energy from their Big Bang, would start to pull everything back together into one glorious singularity, which, under the entire pressure of everything in existence and all matter in existence under its heat and pressure, would then explode, creating our universe. And then eventually, it will all come back together. And then it will blow up again. And then it will all come back together. And then it will blow up again. It's called the cyclic universe hypothesis. Maybe that happens. Maybe we can use redshift and stuff like that to show all these things that you've been told 6 billion times before. And of course you've been told all this before. That's why you're formulating these arguments. Because really, you're trying to make people say this stuff over and over again, because, what, are we, as atheists, are we supposed to get bored saying the same stuff over and over again? I mean, we do. We don't think that God's going to punish us if we don't stop saying the same things over and over again. We just go, well, look at these... We just go, look at these stupid pieces of shit. Look at him blindly saying the same stuff they've been saying for over two fucking millennia! 2 millennia. And they've been constantly shown wrong. And again, they keep on getting shown wrong. You can see last week's video to see how annoyed that actually makes me. That's fun. Go watch that after this, of course, because we're going to make fun of this prick more. 8 seconds in.
That is a belief in magic and mysticism. That is sorcery.
It is sorcery. You're a wizard, Harry. That's just physics. It's not magic, it's just physics.
That's not science. A lot of people think that it's scientific to make the claim that the world could create itself.
I mean, I'm going to not mention this again, because we're only 23 seconds into the video, into the actual video, and every time he says that the world created itself, I don't want to point out how other things created the world through gravitational forces pulling on them and into each other. It's not like the world was just there going, I am the world. Come, Earth! Come, soil, iron, carbon, phosphorus, nitrogen, helium, all the elements that will come together to make me come.
Check out this quote from Stephen Hawking. He said that because there are laws such as gravity, the universe can and will create itself from nothing.
Do you like how he's not even used a picture of Stephen Hawking? Do you like that? Do you like how he's used it from the film? Because he went, well, that's totally Stephen Hawking when he's a kid. Like, come on. Dude, is this a troll on his fans? Does he know his fans aren't like so stupid they know this can't possibly be him? Or that they're so stupid that the only way that they could possibly understand who Stephen Hawking is I watched a film about him once. Either way, speaks volumes.
So atheists really do believe that the world created itself. As wild as that may sound, as loony as it may be, that is what they believe. They think that that is actually based in science.
They think that's actually based in science. Now, I know that the quote I said that because of laws of gravity, that the universe, could create itself. So that means that the world then also created itself because the world is exactly the same as one said universe in said eyes of one atheist per se. That is my TED Talk. I know things.
But any of us who have studied the laws of thermodynamics know that matter cannot be created or destroyed. And so they claim that before the Big Bang, everything was compacted down into an infinitely dense hot point, and then that hot point somehow exploded.
World go boom! World go boom! And God said, let there be Earth. I can see how one is totally scientific, and the other one, is based on redshift of stars, cosmic background radiation, stuff of that sort. Like, the fact that there's a cosmic background radiation and then nothing for a while, and then there's, like the formation of the first stars, and we can see them, you see, because it's so time dilates with space and gravity. So the less gravity there is, the faster time goes, you see. So we found that out because of atomic clocks, you see, because we were traveling, making one travel, and they keep time based on like atom vibration, right? They're like the most accurate clocks ever, and then they started in one place, right? And then, sorry, I need to put my hands up. I didn't realize the camera wasn't aiming up enough. They started in one place, right? So that it traveled all the way to another place, right? And during that time, where one had less effective gravity, they had to this one's beheaded this one by like a millisecond or so. Or less, or whatever, microseconds. And they're like, wow! And it happens in space! So imagine what happens when it's 13.7 billion light years away! Imagine the time dilation on that. Or is it the other way around? Does time slow down in the less gravity there is? I must check one internet. I was correct! The closer you are to gravity, the slower time goes. Bam! So, maybe we can see things far away because it takes so long for light to get here, and time takes different amounts of time depending on gravity, right? But these are all complex things that take time, and effort to explain, right? That these fucks don't want to do, and most people don't want to do. And because most people don't want to do it, fucking assholes like this go, well, I could step in and be the idiot that points out we don't need to know everything. By the way, have you seen God today?
And created time, space, and matter. And like I said, that's a violation of the first law of thermodynamics.
Any thermodynamic system in an equilibrium state possesses a state variable called the internal energy between two equilibrium states. The change in internal energy is equal to the difference of the heat transfer into the system and work done by the system. So, how is it how does everything being in an infinitely dense hot state in one space, right, not already have internal energy? Because it has heat. Heat is caused by friction and pressure. Pressure is caused by energy, and when it explodes, all that heat, pressure, and energy comes out at speed and velocity, using the internal energy and the heat that was wherein creating the hot, dense plasma that the first stars and atoms came from. Because there is a heat transference from everything to everything. There is no transference of heat. These dickheads just say it, and you're supposed to go, oh, yes, it is actually a refutation of the first law of thermodynamics. Well, Matt Powell said it. Well, then it must be gospel. You can tell I'm in a good mood today. Hooray!
And even if the universe just poofed into existence via a magic act, that also violates the second law of thermodynamics, because that states
that in a closed system
that everything in order tends towards disorder.
Wow, it's almost like he said that one but not the first one, because he can't explain the first one because he doesn't understand it, and he can only talk about the second one because he doesn't say it correctly, because he mixes it up. Because he's fooling you, you see. He's lying with omission. It's like a lie of omission by not stating that the second law of thermodynamics starts with in a closed system. How is the universe a closed system? I'll wait. Seems pretty open to me. Seems pretty fucking infinite to me. What, do we get to the end of the universe? And then there's just a wall. It's a brick wall. It's a slatted wall. It's whatever wall you want. It's just a wall, and it goes on for the rest of forever.
Mike, you don't know anything about this wall.
Because we're in a closed system, you see.
Nothing in nature really tends towards organization.
Nothing in nature tends towards organization. He says there's a human species that organizes his day. Yes, we organize. It's weird how living things can organize. You know what else organizes on its own? Rocks. Rocks can organize. Orbitize. I suppose it is orbiting, as they're part of an accretion disk, and then the gravitational pull as space-time is bent by the hot, dense mass of the sun.
Experiment 1.
All right, watch this.
What the hell? What is this? What is this, some kind of gag?
No, that's orbit.
Now back to the Three Stooges.
Aw.
It makes things spin around it, and then they collect together. In a collection, some would say, organizing without purpose. You know, as they come together in a group, get smashed together, and then as they heat up, and then the convection currents happen, and then the density. You see the density of the atoms. They change, because different atoms are different densities, and they float on top of each other, and then the hot, dense iron goes to the middle. Oh, I hate this guy.
It always tends towards disorganization. Everything is winding down in the universe.
Everything's winding down in the universe because I have heard the term eventual heat death of the universe. That means everything's winding down. Chaos! Chaos! Nurgle! Sorry, had to do that. Nurgle's the only way forward. It doesn't matter that we have a cyclic universe theory. There's a solid state theory, like hypothesis. Sorry, not theory. I need to not do that because it's a hypothesis. Only idiots like this say theory. So there you go. I've punished myself. Is that not enough? Is that good enough, Master? Can I stop hitting myself now? It doesn't matter that we have other hypothesis to state these, like, what we see in the universe, right? We'll attack this one because, you know, they kind of get pissed off that Christians kind of made it, don't they? They go, well, it was a Christian that named it, and they took it for their own, and now they're like, yeah, it's totally the Big Bang, and I didn't want it to be that way. It was supposed to be making fun of it. I know that everything we witness in the universe says that actually non-intelligent, non-living matter actually collects itself all the time. Have you seen all the stars? But no, God did it because, well, it couldn't do it itself because gravity doesn't pull anything towards each other. It never happens. Why would two supermassive bodies ever pull towards each other? Why would a collected mass pull things in space-time? I said it before. But these fucks don't care because they don't care about space-time. They don't care about anything unless they think it gives them a little nug. Just a little precious nug. They sift through all the dirt and they go there. This little nugget, they go, look at it. They wipe all this other evidence away that disproves it. They go, I got this little nug. You see, I've said one quote from one guy, and it was true because he said it there. Like, come on, the video I was watching on that I did on stream last week about the three knobheads trying to go about, well, you know. You're always gonna come back to, you know, hey, were you there? Were you there? You didn't see it happen. Well, no, we can see the effects of it and infer from that. But you can't infer anything. But you infer the entirety of existence came from God. Because you have a really old book. You have a really old book. Because it says, like, Catholic on it, or Christian, or something like that. And you go, do you know what? It says it there. It says it right there in chapter 1. Chapter 1 of Genesis. Let me just get to it. It says it right there. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And that doesn't say Big Bang at all.
But evolutionists would have us think that everything is winding up, that everything's getting better.
What we say is that technology is getting better and people's lives overall have improved since, I don't know, the Dark Ages. And that life isn't getting better. Each animal is using evolution and survival of the fittest, right? To try and get better in their surroundings and in their niche, to live and reproduce, to carry the species on, you see. So to them, in a genetic way, they would like to think, if they could, that they were getting better. But they don't. So they don't.
That rocks evolved. They don't just believe that life evolved. They believe that rocks evolved. That you had smaller rocks that somehow morphed into larger rocks.
Alright then, it's morphin' time! Dragon Sword! Mastodon!
Pterodactyl!
Triceratops!
Saber-tooth tiger!
Tyrannosaurus! Yeah!
No joke, you can look it up. They think that all of this energy was compacted down and exploded and created larger pieces of rocks from this little piece of dust.
From this little piece of dust of all the atoms in the universe being pushed together, because like over 95% of the entirety of an atom is empty space, because most of it is the dense, you know, proton and neutron. And like the electron on the outside, it's more of a field of a positive charge than it is an actual, like, you know, physical presence. It almost has a negligible presence. It's so infinitesimally small. So, like, you could squeeze a person really, really small if you had the right pressure. Now, imagine if you had the pressure of everything in the universe. Squashing down. Everything. Proxima Centauri, Alpha Centauri, Andromeda, Betelgeuse, A5271, this Hale-Bopp comet, Jupiter, that other solar system we have pictures of. There's enough things out there. Sombrero Galaxy. You know, these are just but a few that I am remembering off the top of one stone. So it's not much at the moment because I am too angry to think of space names. But if everything was pushed together, well, you could get it pretty small. It's almost like just because you can't conceive of it because you're a simple-minded, smooth-brained idiot doesn't mean anything.
It's much easier to just simply say that God created the world and that the world did not create itself.
It's easy to say that God made the world if we don't point out that actually we stole our religion from the Jews because our Savior was supposed to rise up and lead a a rebellion against the Romans and bring the Lion of Judah out of the grasp of imperial oppression and bring God's land back to itself, because that's what Mashiach meant. But who gives a shit about that? Christians certainly don't, because it disproves them immediately that their entire religion was based off somebody failing to do what they said to do and other people making excuses for it. That's why they care about arguments so much, because their entire existence has been, I know it's supposed to be that, but we see it this way. Just fuck off and let us see it this way, right? By the way, you can't see the things you way you want either. Just my way only, or die. I have a sword, spear, and a book.
That's the rules that I've just made up. And I'm backing it up with this gun that was lent from the National Rifle Association.
The Bible says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth.
Jesus, did you see what God just did to us, man?
Damn, I'm convinced! I should probably start that religion unraveled. I probably should.
And you can either choose to accept or reject that. The world did not create itself from nothing. Even NASA said this: although the Big Bang Theory is widely accepted, it will probably never be proved, consequentially leaving a number of tough and unanswered questions.
I'm going to see if I can find this quote. I don't know. I can't find it, to be honest. I only tried a little bit, and that's enough, because it's Matt Powell, and I put as much effort into my research as he does. And all I could see was a bunch of people going, is it true what creationists say? And not actually anything pointing to where this quote came from, so it wouldn't surprise me if they pulled it out of their ass. But the thing is maybe they didn't, because it says probably never be proved. And a Christian wouldn't say that, would they? They'd say, oh, it could never be proved, because we're too dumb, and we're space nimmies, or blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? Like, proven in science is a tall ask, you know? There's so many things that haven't been proven, because science, when it says proven, means there is no way that it could ever be wrong, right? And considering we did that a lot back in the day, you know, Newton's laws of gravity and everything, we made laws. Turns out that actually some of them, they're just not. You see, we jumped the gun because it was only the 1700s, 1600s, whatever. And, you know, we've learned since then, and maybe we shouldn't make laws out of everything, right? Because they might be broken. Because, I don't know, we might find other fundamental forces that we haven't found in the universe. Even God, right? So, but see, that's one of their little weapons, isn't it? It's the fact that we hedge our bets by going, well, maybe, right? Because we're being honest, and we're holding ourselves to an account and to a level. And these people don't, right? And they take the low ground every single time, and they don't give a shit about people taking the high ground. They don't give a shit about the moral stands and all this different stuff, right? All they care about is where they can cut your feet off to make a point.
They're always talking about what would Jesus do? What would Jesus do? They don't want to know so they can do it. They just want to know so they can tell other people to do it.
So they don't give a shit whether this is true. They don't give a shit whether we think it's true or not, right? They are speaking to a choir, and they are disseminating the information in any way they see fit, which is usually lies, right? Because, well, they're Christians and they wouldn't lie, right?
Granite rock is incredible. We cannot create it. With all of our highest tech instruments, we can create diamonds, but we can't create granite. So I'm supposed to believe that a rock that cannot be created by man on purpose somehow created itself by accident.
Didn't create itself, gravitational forces did. I said it wasn't going to point this out again, but he said granite, so it's a little bit different. But it's exactly the same, considering that granite's a piece of the earth.
It's ridiculous. We believe in the creation model that life started on the land, but they will say that life began in the water or in the oceans.
Yeah, it's almost like when we look at all the eggs of all the animals throughout time, that they have water in them! Meaning that we were probably born in water, you see, because, you know, there wasn't any oxygen to breathe on land until the great oxidation event when plants started growing. We only have proof of it, you know, through the fossil record. Core samples that show, you know, the different things that are in the air and the mixtures, because we can, you know, it reacts with the land when it's on top, and we can tell from the concentration of certain chemicals what's in certain bits. Of course, we can't tell the exact 100% approximation of what everything is, but when something reacts with it more, we can definitely say that that particular element is more involved in that time period, whether it be with the rock and in the water or in the air. We can tell I don't know, by a various number of ways. By the type of rock, the type of erosion that's on it, the type of fossils we find in it, or the types of rock we find around it, because we know where a lot of the rocks come from and how they're formed. And we know exactly where they're formed. So like, oh, we can't make granite. Well, granite's pushed up as the mantle cools, as it cools on the crust, you see. And it gets pushed up as the tectonic plates smash each other together through the convection currents, through magma. But of course this cunt doesn't care about any of that, because all he has to do is go, oh, life started on land, because God said so. Yeah, that book that he said he made light before he made stars. You know, that book. Because they knew how stars were, and God knew what atoms were, and he knew what photons were, and how they work, and how long it would take a photon from get to that far to that far. But don't worry, it was a miracle. God did it. Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter that it completely contradicts what we see, and everything in the world is God, and everything that contradicts what goes on in the world is just a miracle, right?
And in this Inside Science article, they say the first hefty organic molecules may have formed within tiny droplets. So what they're trying to say is that the first molecules that eventually formed into life were coming together inside of water.
I know, it's almost like it's almost like all the early fossils we find in rock that is found in water, and were found in underwater locations that were underwater at the time. Wow. Surprising that, isn't it? It's almost like we can look at, when they stop being cells, we could look at it and go, look, that's a fish, right?
But if you were to type in on the internet, how does DNA get destroyed? The very first thing that pops up is this. It says DNA is vulnerable. It breaks down in sunlight and in water. They would have us believe that the RNA world, where life came from non-life, was in a soup, in water. Well, water destroys biology. It destroys organic molecules.
Motherfucker, we are 70+% water. If we don't have water, we die in a number of days. Depending on how much water is already in our body. Because we need it to process oxygen, cunt. Now, what happens when your DNA is not just on its own? What happens when your DNA isn't necessarily in just, fresh water, salt water, and the consistency that we see now, and sunlight being unfiltered in the way we see now? Maybe it has something to do with the oceans being a completely different fucking constitution of minerals and compounds, mixtures at the time. Because it wasn't a salty ocean, you see. Because, I don't know, maybe the world was still in the way of being forming, and there was still sulfuric acid being pumped and smoke being pumped into the sky from fucking volcanoes and geysers and shit going on everywhere with things crashing into it. It's almost like there was a bunch of shit in the air that wasn't oxygen, and there was a bunch of other toxic gases, so things formed in the oceans that were made of a different... It wasn't just saline and water or whatever, salt and fish and shit. Right? And pests and fucking fish eggs or whatever. Because none of them existed, right? Maybe there was nothing that had filtered any of the water at that time. You ever think that, cunt? No, of course not. Because why would you do anything except think of the best way to grift off the shitty little audience that you've gained from bumming fucking Kent Hovind for a few years?
So to assert that life began in the water or in the oceans when it was raining for 2 million years is ludicrous. That's false. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools.
Oh, mine heart! Oh, no!
The Bible tells us that the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul.
It's so much more believable because God did it. I know there was other gods that also said they were made from clay. Does that mean that Anu making all those things for clay for fucking Enlil, that happened because it came first, and he said he made it from clay, you see? Because that story came thousands of years before the Jews, like 1,000 years before the Jews. So does that story have more validity because it came first? All praise Enlil!
So life obviously began on the land.
Obviously. Obviously.
Oh, obvious. I'll grant you it's obvious. Trouble is, just because things are obvious doesn't mean they're true.
And even if you had a single-celled organism that somehow magically was created out of this soupy mess, what's it going to eat? There's no other biology around. There's no other organic material. What's it going to eat? Hard rock?
No, but it could eat. It could absorb nutrients because it wouldn't have a mouth. It'd be a single-celled organism with a permeable membrane. You see, that wouldn't even be formed with that many organelles. So really, it would just be through the act of diffusion would be letting in particular, atoms that it needed to create structures. You see, there was a long time where things used to just kind of go because they had too much stuff in there because they didn't have an anus. You see, it's almost like when things evolved from nothing, to use his phrase, right? When abiogenesis happened, it's almost like what happened is that they didn't just go poof, it's a human, poof, it's a dog, poof, it's a giraffe. No, they went, I'm a simple-celled single organism with no mitochondrial DNA, and I have no organelles. I don't even have lipids to fully help stop certain things coming through. You see, it's almost like it took a long time before any of that stuff actually came in, because singular-celled life ruled the world for like 1 billion years, and like multicellular life hasn't been 1 billion years yet. You see, it's almost like it takes a long time, and because we only live to like at max 120 maybe, like if that. And that's just like top max of the minute, before we start using epigenetics to get rid of aging. You see, because we figured out that there's an aging gene that makes your cells and bones repair themselves at a lower rate. It's almost like we figured out all of this biology stuff and physics stuff so well that we have everything that we see around us, and we can run it in such a way that if it wasn't for capitalism, would make everybody's lives amazingly easier. Except we gotta benefit the few, don't we, mate? Let's, you and your libertarian, let's sue the government into the oblivion because we don't want to pay our taxes guy. Yeah, that guy. The one that you associated yourself with that likes to try and feed people fucking apricot pits and seeds to try and kill them when there's a cancer cure. Because you and your ilk care more about money than you actually give a shit about God, right? It's all grifty fucking libertarian bullshit to control people easier, right? Sorry, did I get too close to home for you, cunt?
Think about this. There is nothing for it. It just is going to come alive, and then it's got to find another organism to reproduce with.
It's got to find another thing to reproduce with. I know that in the current day, we can definitely see asexual reproduction where cells just split from each other. I know we see that, but I guess that's not what happened. I guess everything came along. Every cell has a penis, and there's a boy cell and a vagina and a female cell, right, with a vagina, and then when the female cell gets told that it's time by the male cell, well, the male cell enters the female cell and shoots even smaller cells into the little egg cells inside the cells to have sex, because we have never watched or seen or encouraged things to happen in such a way where cells would just suddenly go bop into new cells because of the new proteins in atoms that have been put into them through the series of diffusion. Something like that.
The unanswered questions will remain unanswered by the evolutionist and atheist community on this matter because they're not actually looking at things with a scientific lens.
Scientists have given us all this information through decades of study. Not looking at it through a scientific lens. No, not at all. You're not looking through this. See these. This. It's a children's Bible. It's a normal Bible. That's a Catholic Bible. You see that? You see this? That's a Torah, right? You see that? That's the Tibetan Book of the fucking Dead. Do you see that? That's the Book of Mormon. Oh my God, I've got a Quran, right? Do you want a Scientology book? They all say that a thing made them, and one of them has to be right. So why not choose? I'm sorry, I threw them on the ground because I was being too disrespectful on purpose, and I needed to have them up. See, why can't it be one of these three? You see, all these three are correct. Well, sorry, these four are correct. No, these three are correct. Yes, these three are correct. These are wrong. right? Even though they all say that extra beings made everything. These three are correct. Because these said it. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that this one came first. And these use that, right? These aren't right. But these are. Because, you know, abiogenesis or something. I forgot I had the Bhagavad Gita in there. Don't care if they're not back the way they were before. I don't give a shit.
They're looking at it with an emotional lens.
My God's real!
Because they don't want to answer to God. And they don't want to admit that creationism is so strong.
Assalamu my brother. I didn't realize that you converted to Islam. I've been attacking the wrong religion. I am so sorry. Praise be upon him.
And it has a very powerful model that supports it in the scientific community, and they don't want to give it any credence at all.
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with the fact that you guys aren't following the scientific method or in fact spitting in its face and using it the wrong way. But we're the ones that aren't being scientific because we're not agreeing with you, because we're not using your method, because, you know, you're used to being in control and you're used to hanging around with rich fucks that, like, you know, try and bully people into doing what they want, right? So if you just assert it enough, then people will believe it because they can't be lying if they keep on saying it, right? Isn't it sad that so much of these people's bullshit completely banks on the fact that you have to be dumb to like fall for this stuff? That, like, your school system or schooling in general, also, like, your school system has to be crumbling and your schooling has to be terrible for you, like, to even consider this being true, considering we have all the facts that we do, that we have to underpay teachers to not enthuse people about what's actually going on in the world, so dickheads like this can mislead them so they can feed their coffers instead of, I don't know, the schools in which we need to teach people to make the world in which we live run. But that's the thing, these cunts don't want the world in which we live to run, do they? They want everything to kind of go back to like it was the 1700s, where they were in control and there wasn't all this technology that made people think things, and women had to do what they were told, and blacks were kept in a certain area of the city, and the browns were kept in the certain area of the city, and what, Indians? Nah. And you know, these people were over there, and we were the exceptional ones, and if they don't believe us, we can kill them with swords. That's all they want. So they don't give a shit about what we found. They don't give a shit about anything. They just want to ruin everything to make it better for themselves. And we're supposed to think these are high holy people that are good for everyone, and they have good holy intentions because they're Christian. Because humanity is so fucking dumb that they look at religious people and no matter what, they go, well, you know, he's doing it for a good reason. It takes fucking time. It takes so long for just normal, decent people to look at someone like a Kenneth Copeland or a Joel fucking Olstein or a cunt like this to go, do you know what, maybe they're grifter assholes. Maybe they are grifter assholes. Maybe they are lying out their ass so we'll give them money so they don't have to do anything except peddle the same 6 lies that fucking Cunt Hovend and fucking Is Kid and fucking Ken Ham and Dwayne Gish and whoever else fucking tells it. Well, you know, they said this is the way it is. I know that no one agrees with any scientific find they've ever found, but you know we do. So why don't you listen to us? Because we'd really like it if you did.
They're afraid of creationism. They can laugh at it, they can mock it.
Oh, look at me, I'm shaking in my little space boots.
Ooh, I'm so afraid. I'm afraid. Sorry, that was me being spooky. Wait, just a second. Line. Ah! Creationism! Ah! Was that good enough? Was I scared enough for that take? No? Okay. Just leave me alone. I don't want to be. I just want to be left alone. Is that good enough? Is that alright? That's fine. I'll take that one. Sweet.
They can fulfill what the Bible says that they would do, which is be scoffers of the last days that scoff and mock the Bible.
I know they've been saying it for 2,000 years, but it's really happening this time. I am so ashamed and abashed.
And if you were to type in, you owe your life to a rock, it brings up a paper called You Owe Your Life to Rock. And the way that this paper starts out is hilarious. It says, thank goodness for granite. Those are the first words of the paper. It talks about how granite rock is our ancestor. Remember the rock that we covered earlier that can't be created on purpose, somehow created itself by accident, and then somehow conceived life.
So, the last Matt Powell video I did covers this specifically, where he's like, ha ha! So, if you want a full and more robust, you know, takedown of how stupid this cunt is for pointing that out, you could go there. But for right now, I'll give you a little rundown, because it doesn't say that granite created life. What it actually says is that there was a bit of somewhere that eroded after the ocean came in contact with it. You know, after the continents split, right? And after that, some granite fell into the ocean and was eroded away, and the minerals that were put in by this eroded granite actually made it so the ocean had enough material for is it the no elastins and titties, the fucking for cartilage to grow, basically, something like that, and like to form, or keratin. Is it keratin or is it cartilage? It's one of the two, something like that. And because of that, you know, we were able to form more complex things in the cells. You know, like the bindings hold multicellular organisms together. But I do a better takedown of it there, and I'm not going into it loads because it's there, right? And this video's already long enough. This video's already long enough, right? So let's just get to the fucking end. There's only like 2 minutes left. There's 2 minutes left. How long could that take?
Now, of course, they want to mock the virgin birth, but to say that granite rock conceived life, granite rock isn't even living to begin with. At least Mary was alive when she conceived of the Holy Spirit. It's pretty hilarious. I mean, they think that non-life brought life into existence, that unconsciousness brought conscious, sentient material into existence, that nothing somehow created something. It gets more and more and more insane the more that you look into what atheists and evolutionists actually believe.
Yeah, it's really funny that when you look into it, and you like fucking actually look into the results, and you actually understand it, instead of just looking over it and going, what can I use against them? It actually points to why these things are, instead of just going, isn't it silly? Yes, when you just say, non-life gave birth to non-life. Yes, it sounds silly, because, well, life didn't give birth to non-life. It didn't give birth at all, you see. You see how leaning language could take you to a way that you want to go? And that's why these people only have arguments and don't have proof. And that's why they can make fucking 7-minute videos not really saying anything except going, it's not real, it's not real, it's not real, you know, because God of the gaps and such. And to rebut it can take a very long time, because you can't just go, well, it is, right? You have to explain it, because, well, otherwise these cunts are going to go, well, you couldn't explain it properly, therefore God. Like defeating someone on YouTube or someone they find in the street and going, oh, I didn't know that. Well, that means they're correct, right? And about, like, everything, not just to that person. It's fucking mental. Do you get what I mean? Because all they do is they look into fucking more and more about which they just throw shit at the wall until they find out what you don't know about. So like on 2 weeks ago, I did a video, you know, the Three Stooges, and I had, you know, I was a little too stoned. Perfectly legal tobacco, and you know, I talking about talking about irreducible complexity, I don't have the best answers. It doesn't mean that you're right. It just means that I don't have the best answers. So now I get to look it up, right? And I get to find out more about why that isn't true. So the next time it happens, I can point out how fucking stupid you are. You see? Look forward to one of those videos soon. You always got to redeem yourself when you don't know a thing. And that's the thing that really angers these people. It doesn't even anger them. They don't even know it, do they? Is that really what they're doing is they're just honing our arguments, aren't they? Every time, I know they are with mine, every time I feel stupid because I didn't know an answer to something, you know what it does? It makes me not want to feel stupid again, so then I go out and try and find the answer, you see? So it makes my arguments better. And that's really how we should all be. But hey, it's easier to do nothing and, you know, suffer through your shitty 9-5 and not really try and make anything better or try and find out anything, and we'll just listen to people on the internet tell us what to think.
I heard somebody say one time that it's unbelievable what unbelievers will believe to remain unbelievers, and I feel like that is actually kind of true.
Wow. As-salam, my brother, I didn't realize that that you could speak the Quran, because that had 111 rhetorical devices. Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! He has come! He has come!
It really is unbelievable. We're entering into the twilight zone. Stay tuned. And this paper also says that rocks and minerals must have played key roles in virtually every phase of life's emergence.
What? What, we're made of minerals and compounds, and like we have to get those minerals and compounds from somewhere. So having, rocks and minerals, that have atoms in them that can form compounds and mixtures. Wow! I can't believe that we would need them to be in us. It's almost like we consume rocks almost every day. Look at salt. Salt's just a mineral. It's just a fucking mineral, and it's in everything. Fuck off. Oh, we don't eat stones. Okay, all right. We don't eat no rock. No, we don't eat none. We don't need no minerals to survive ever. Ever. It's just meat, isn't it? It's just meat and plants. It's just meat and plants, and they're not made from anything. They're just made from God's love. And we all need God's love to survive.
Check this out. It says rare meteorite that fell on a UK driveway may contain ingredients for life. And so in this paper, you can see what they're insinuating. They're insinuating that life ultimately came from a rock. That is what they believe. And that's hard to defend that position, that you came from a rock. I can't imagine having to be an atheist and defend this stuff.
Or that, actually, that the formation of RNA compounds are actually more prevalent in the universe than we thought. So maybe, actually, the idea of life being out there isn't so far-fetched as, oh my god, it's a UFO! Yeah, we probably haven't actually seen any, because they probably don't know we're here, because radio waves take time to travel, you know what I mean? And considering there's no stars within, just 150, 100, and 200 years of radio travel, then I guess nothing would know we're here. Unless they just happened to fly by and went, oh, some lights on that planet at night, because they were lost. Like, fuck off. Although I suppose we have images of other planets. Maybe it's not that far off. Maybe we're just not looking at the right places, and maybe we're not looking at the right time. Maybe the street lights are too dim to see from so far away. The thing isn't trying to say, maybe we came from life. I know Ben Stein said Richard Dawkins did it in an interview when Dawkins said he was pressed. But hey, Dawkins said it, so it must be true.
And if you look at this paper, it says that the ingredients for life in space rocks that fell to the Earth, and it talks about how these rocks contained liquid water. And so again, they're trying to insinuate that life was created from water that eroded minerals out of rocks.
What? We've got a universe that has a lot of water in it, and vapor clouds, and then ice crystals and comets, and then when it smashes down into a hot planet, it melts and puts water everywhere. Where there's lots of lava going around, because the world's exploding all the time, because all the pressure and heat is making all the volcanoes go off, and then, things collide until it goes, rrr. So when you got water in the air, the vapor goes in the air, and it creates lots of clouds, and when it starts to cool down, it might rain for a very long time. Like that.
And to the scientifically illiterate atheist, he or she will just eat this right up. They'll think it's just, oh, this is incredible. This is great knowledge. As Christians, we're supposed to be free thinkers, and we're supposed to be skeptical.
As Christians, we're supposed to be free thinkers, so why don't you think the way I want to and believe God in the way I want you to, because you're a free thinker just like me, so agree with me because you're a free thinker, right? Don't you love it how everybody calls themselves a free thinker nowadays? Because everybody's just following everybody else's opinions. And boy, aren't we all just the freest of fingers? I love Joe Rogan.
Of demonstrated lies like these ones that we're looking at.
Demonstrated the lies. I have shown no way in which they are lies, and I have just asserted they are. And you could tell that me, Matthew Powell, is a doctor in evolutionary biology because I studied under the school of ripping off the government with Ken Hovind. That way, I know everything about biology. Is he just leaving it on that? Right? Well, I'll leave you with this then. John 1:1, because it's so important you look it up yourself. Let's look it up together, shall we? Let's look it up together. Oh my god. There we go, John. What? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Therefore, everything you think about science is false because they don't start with that premise. Isn't that fun? Aren't we all learning everything about science better together because of Dr. Matthew, you believe in rocks, Powell? Lovely days. Lovely days. Isn't this fun? I'm going to go have a smoke and a large drink because this man aggravates me so much. Good night, everybody.